Welcome back to the all-new Shaner the Taxpayer. Why is it that I'm going back to the original name of the podcast? Well, first of all, swig of coffee for my... Ooh, that's dirty. I didn't realize I slopped that. Oops. Yeah, I've been up for hours. I've been drinking a lot of coffee. Anyways, swig of coffee for all my fellow hardworking Canadians out there. Bit of a quick story. I started off this podcast as first the taxpayer, and then switched it to Shaner the Taxpayer because really there was so many taxpayer podcasts that people couldn't tell the difference, and people were clicking on mine by accident, which I should have kept going with because at least I was getting views. Then somebody suggested, a friend, supposedly a friend, suggested that I just call it Shaner's Rant, and has all kinds of ideas and was gonna help me and never helped me. Anyways, I switched it to the Shaner's Rant, and I did get people clicking on it. I get the usuals, I think, same people clicking on the videos, but as I go through the analytics, nobody's actually watching the damn thing. Like, I get clicks, so at least people are clicking on it, which I appreciate. I get that much, but I can actually go and see how much people are actually watching this, and nobody's actually going to watch this video either. I can do anything I want on this episode or any of these shows, and nobody's watching. So it's kind of disheartening because I've done, over 40 videos and stuff, and I put a lot of effort into it. Sometimes I'm just kind of calling it in, but just to make the content and keep things flowing. But I do a lot of research and put a lot of time into it because all the videos I share, I gotta watch them first and make sure that it's something that I want to share. All the articles that I read and information, emails and everything, I have to read all that first and then compile it and put it on the show. And it's something that I enjoy doing. It's a process. It keeps me occupied, busy, it's busy work, and I get to spew my thoughts on politics and whatnot, and it keeps it off my feed on my social media pretty much, so it doesn't piss people off. And I don't waste my time with in my other relationships with friends and family really talking about politics, because I just kind of do it here and get my rocks off, and then it's out of my mind. So anyways, that's the long and short of it. So why again am I going back to Shaner the Taxpayer? Well, because with Shaner's Rant, nobody really knew how to search for it, and I'm limited on how I can advertise, and put it out there. So I'm going back with Shaner the Taxpayer because at least when people were keying in on YouTube, the word taxpayer, at least I would come up. At least it would come up on Google or some shit like that. So even if I get accidental views and somebody accidentally finds me, maybe they'll keep watching. The last episode that I put up got 20 views, technically, 20 clicks, anyways, but nobody watched it. It was like the average view was like a minute. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm probably never going to make it as a podcaster. So, anyways, well, that's about that. All I got to say about that. Anyways, moving forward, this clip has gone around a lot already. I'm not new. This is not breaking news. I tried to film podcasts yesterday. I had to refilm, re-record, and it still didn't work out. It was a cluster F. I recorded 2 shows, re-recorded them, still didn't work out. So hopefully this works out, and let's go. Mr. Carney got caught red-handed, and boy, it's making the rounds. And here we go.
Won't believe what happens next. Mark Carney believes MPs are only useful for votes.
They're useful for votes. They're useful for votes. No, but you have more or less the British system. We have exactly. Yeah. So you need. Yeah. And same with all the cabinet members. Exactly. So,
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit moment. Oh, I just got caught.
You won't believe what happens next. Mark Carney believes MPs are only useful for votes.
they're useful for votes. They're useful for votes.
Yeah, well, I gotta get caught up on the fallout from that. Next up, former Peterborough MP. How she's former? You guys blew it over there. Listen to this.
You gotta watch this.
When I speak to people in my riding, they are tired of politics. They want simple answers. 11 million, 11.3, will you be printing money or putting it on the line of credit?
So how are you going to explain to your people in your
It's
riding
a simple question.
that you voted
You're
in
the
favor?
finance minister. Finance is based on numbers. Will you be printing money or will it go on the line of credit?
What would you say to your constituent if you say you voted in favor, but you're not willing to support Canadians? So I think people will be confused. You should help them. We can help you.
Minister, please just an answer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How are you going to
must
explain
have
that
thought
to your
this through.
constituents?
You must have thought, you know what you're going to do. Would you please just share with Canadians?
Well, exactly. That's
How
what
are
I'm
you going to
saying.
finance this?
I'm sure your constituents are confused. You voted in favor, and now you're saying you're not for the measures.
Minister, will you be printing money or the line of credit?
Are you in favor of the measure or are you against?
You are running a deficit. How much will the deficit be then?
Well, like I said, this is a measure that supports Canadian. You voted in favor of it. And I think you should stand by your vote and say, yes, we favor that because it's going to support Canadians at the time of need.
Minister, will this be a capital investment or an operating expense, since it's hard to tell with your broad definition now?
Well, I would not say it's so broad. You should look at what the International
Will it be
Monetary...
an operating expense or a capital investment?
Madam Chair, do you want me to answer? I'm happy to listen to the
Please
questions.
answer. We're waiting for an answer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was referring to the International Monetary Fund.
No.
That
Well, we're talking about Canada here.
Well, but that's why I'm trying to help you, that the International Monetary Fund said that the definition that Canada has adopted, other countries are looking at that and they praise the
No,
framework
I'm
that
not
Canada
asking
has
about
been
your
put
opinion
forward.
on the definition. I'm asking, will this program be a capital investment or an operating expense?
gonna be
You
an
must have
operating
thought this
expense.
through. Excuse
It's going to
me?
be an operating expense in
Okay,
the
thank
measure
you.
that supports
So,
Canadians. But hold
for
on,
a family-
let me finish because
No,
but you
I
don't
just
want the
needed
answer.
that
I'm trying to answer your
clarification,
question,
Minister.
but there's
I have
aspect
a- I
of
have
it
a
that
question.
would support
Sorry,
capital
both of you,
investment as
Minister,
well in
Minister
the
Ms.
structure.
Kobina, I would ask both of you to pause for a second.
So that was
What a
Sandra
shit show.
Kobina. She's the Conservative Member of Parliament for Newmarket Aurora. And that was the Liberal Minister of Finance, Minister Champagne. And what you just witnessed there was so many things wrong that need to be called out. It is the responsibility of the government, which is the Liberals and the minister, to come to committee and answer questions. He was rude and ignorant and didn't answer the questions. Ms. Kobina was not confrontational. She just wanted to know how your money, taxpayer money, is being spent. And this is a reflection of how the Liberals feel about you and Canada. They don't respect the taxpayer, they don't respect you, and they don't do what they were elected to do, which is to make life better. So when Ms. Kobina pressured Minister Champagne about operating versus capital, the difference, for those of you who may not know, many of you do know, if it's an operating expense, it means it's going to drive up debt even more. If it's capital, you get money back. There's no money to come back. And all for what? $11 billion for what? A $10 coupon on $300 of groceries that some people will get, most people don't even qualify for. This is insanity. The Liberals have created this chaos of driving the cost of food up higher than it's ever been in history, food bank usage higher than it's ever been in history. But hey, here's a little scrap. Oh, but the scrap is actually going to make the problem worse. And when we get asked about how we're going to spend your money, we're going to be a condescending jerk and not answer the question. This is why you have a breakdown. And it's so important for people to share these videos. It's so important. They have to see. And you need to message your member of parliament. You need to say, you are responsible for answering the questions. That member of parliament, Ms. Kobina, was sent to Ottawa to get answers. The government doesn't have any money. It has your money. And they damn well better answer how they're spending it and what you are getting in return for it. What's gotten better in your life in the last 11 years? How are those taxes? You getting much in return for them?
Well said, Peterborough. You blew it. You people blew it. You had that working for you. Anyways, moving forward, on the other podcasts that didn't turn out, which I guess God Almighty thought it wasn't meant to be, I had other info about Carney with the condo bailout, but I don't have the video of Carney talking about it, but you all have heard about it now. And so let's hear what Pierre Poilievre had to say about it. And I actually said the exact same stuff 3 podcasts ago, but it sounds better coming from Pierre.
I want to go back to the condo discussion. I was just wondering, what solutions would you propose as an alternative to what the Prime Minister is putting forward? I know that during the campaign, you proposed cutting the sales tax on all new homes. That's something that we've seen some, initial progress in Ontario with that deal that the Fed struck with the province. Would you like to see that apply on a national level, or is there anything else further you would like to do to address the kind of glut of condo sales we've seen in BC and other jurisdictions?
So first, the answer to your question is yes, I want to see all taxes taken off home building. The sales taxes, and we need to incentivize municipalities and provinces to get rid of all of their home building taxes. Secondly, we need to insist that municipalities speed up permits and free up land to get more built very quickly, and my infrastructure policy would do that. We need to cut the bureaucracy, red tape, and taxes that are responsible for our high housing costs under the Liberals here in Canada. That is a real solution. What Mark Carney and the Liberals have done is they've inflated a housing bubble with too much money printing and immigration driving up demand, and too much red tape and taxes blocking supply. Having created the housing bubble and now bursting that bubble, now they want to come and bail out the bankers and developers who profited from it. And this is another example of a tiny club of Liberal elites, billionaires, and insiders getting rich by making hardworking Canadians poor. So I'm calling for the Carney condo bailout of developers and bankers to be cancelled. As for the condos themselves, you know what the solution is for them to become affordable? The developers need to lower the sale price to a level that people can afford to pay. And when they do that, those condos will sell. And some say, well, the condos, the developers will lose money. Somebody's going to lose money. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be the waitress and the welder paying for it on their taxes so Carney can give a tax-funded bailout, or is it going to be the developers and bankers who were trying to profit off of the bubble in the first place?
Can you believe that we, the taxpayer, are going to buy over 2,000 condos that are already built and then convert them somehow, spend more money that they're talking, and convert them to lower income? Huh? How in the hell does that make sense? Do I get one? Do I get one? I'm a taxpayer. Right? This is the show. Shaner the taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer. Do I get one? You're a taxpayer. Do you get one? Who gets these things? It's freaking stupid. And while we're on the same subject, let's listen to Ron's take on this.
Okay, one last thing about the fucktastrophe of the Carney condo bailout in British Columbia. One last fucking thing. Or maybe not the last. Maybe there's going to be a shit ton more. But here's one. The connection. The connection between Vancouver condo developers and the federal housing minister, Gregor Robertson. This is a deep, deep connection. Gregor Robertson was the mayor of Vancouver during an explosion of condo activity, explosion of building, an explosion of price run-up. He was a guy who loves real estate. He's got millions and millions of dollars worth of his own real estate. Some are condos. And he goes deep. He goes very deep with these developers. So let's ask this question. Why the fuck is BC, more particularly Vancouver, the only place there's actually a Carney condo bailout? There's more unsold units in Toronto. There's more unsold, fucked up, who cares? How can we ever sell these cocksuckers units in Toronto than there is in Vancouver? That's for sure. There's thousands and thousands of units, tons and tons of units, empty, unsold, okay? Now, the federal HST holiday applies to those new construction units in Toronto and all through Southern Ontario, which is great. But that's just an incentive. That's an incentive. That's not a bailout. If you say, okay, we're going to have a 1-year holiday on HST for new construction, good. It also means that other things will be built. Townhouses will be built. Some semis will be built. Some other things will be built. Helps the construction industry. This condo thing helps fuck all nobody but the developers. And, oh, but wait, Ron, all these 2,200 units, people are going to get low rent social housing. Okay, maybe, we'll see. I mean, some of these units are really fucking expensive, so I don't know how you figure that one out. But it also is a complete fuckover for the people who broke their balls to be able to buy those units when the prices were falling and they were having to scramble to get money to be able to complete their purchases. It's sort of a total fuck over them. Maybe they needed the bailout, not the fucking developers. But there's your connection. The connection is Gregor Robertson, BC Vancouver condo developers. That's the fucking connection. And that doesn't get Carney off the hook for being behind this fuckery, okay? Because it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous on every level. And God, here's hoping to high heaven that everybody's going to keep talking about it. Everybody's going to realize it's a fucking bailout. Government shouldn't bail out billionaire developers. Okay, one last thing about...
It's just wrong on every single level. Why? Why are we paying? It's not the government. The government doesn't have their own money. It's our money. Your money, my money. Your friend's money, your father's money. Your mother's money, your sister's money. Your neighbor's money. Everybody else's money. Not their own. Why doesn't somebody else step in and buy these things? Why doesn't Carney use his own money to buy these things? He's got money. He's got Brookfield. Why are we paying for this? Frickin' stupid. Anyways, moving on. Gonna borrow some news clips from Jasmine Lane. Hope she doesn't mind. Please give her a like and a follow. She's amazing. She's really smart. And nobody's watching this anyway, so she probably won't get too pissed off if I steal some of her content. I'm not going to steal much of her commentary. I just want to use her CBC clips and demonstrate how these pundits on the CBC, who for the longest time would prop up the Liberals no matter what they were doing, they were sucking up like you wouldn't believe, but they have been turning on Carney like crazy. And Rosemary Farton, she's still sucking off the trough, but because she knows where her bread is buttered. But the pundits, wow. Well, let's just give it a listen. Thank you, Jasmine.
But I actually want to talk about what happened this week, because I think it feeds into a possible problem that the Liberals need to be attuned to.
Actually, let me preface this. This is all the stuff that happened during the last week of Parliament and how they just rammed everything through before the summer break.
Last week, Michael Sabia, speaking at the Eurasia Group, this is the clerk of the Privy Council, talked about one of the things the Carney government has that's an asset, which is trust from the public. What happened this week is that the Liberals decided to use their majority to shut down debate and pass legislation that is very controversial, bills that were not studied, in some cases had no witnesses that even testified as to whether this was good or bad. We had the lawful access bill that has gotten a bit more attention across the country. And the government completely shut down the debate. In some cases, they even backdated the ability of opposition members to bring forward amendments, so only government members could bring forward amendments. We have never seen anything like this, ever. Like, we have talked a lot about these kind of moves during the Harper era, especially during his majority government, and with reason. I think we deserve to talk and highlight what is happening in this case. And I bring it up because the trust issue. The government House leader talked about, he hoped the conspiracies around C-22, the lawful access bill, would go away, that time would allow these to pass. He talked about tinfoil hat people.
I'll play you as well what Stephen McKinnon had to say about this, but I do really want to note that while he dismisses this as tinfoil hats and conspiracies, wow, where have I heard that one before? How original. Apple, Meta, Signal, various Canadian startups, NordVPN, Windscribe, Tailscale, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, which represents over 200,000 businesses, Information Technology Industry Council, and that's the lobby group, by the way, that represents Amazon, Google, and NVIDIA, as well as the Canada American Business Council, plus cybersecurity and civil liberties experts, were all the people sounding the same alarm about this legislation that the Liberals rammed through. So, according to the Liberals, their official stance on this is that they're all conspiracy theorists.
On C-22, what do you make about the Conservatives' concerns that this gives police or gives authorities too much power?
Well, it used to be the Conservatives were the law and order party. As I grew up, that's one of the things that came to define Conservatives. We now have a very real set of criminal justice reforms, bail, hate speech, victims' rights, and treating victims, and of course giving us the last lawful access regime in the G7. This is a very real set of reforms in terms of criminal justice. What it has met from the Conservatives is this wall of conspiracy theory, frankly paranoia. I hope that the conspiracies and the tinfoil hats are something that will fade away over time. But we can now safely say that it is the Liberal Party that's the party that's most clearly for law and order in the country.
He's a dick. That's all I got to say about that. He's a dick. And the Liberals are corrupt, and they ran this through. They didn't listen to, like Jasmine said, they didn't listen to all these companies, these corporations, the ones that run the internet, the ones that run your phone, your cybersecurity. Not listening to them. Stupid. Well, there goes your freedoms some more. Bye-bye. Anyways, there's a bit more here.
The Liberal Party that's the party that's most clearly for law and order in the country.
This is not a way to bring people along. Okay. If anything, it fuels conspiracies. So there was no reason to pass these bills. They could have taken the summer to study them and bring more Canadians on side. And I think that they are taking, they risk taking, I should say, Canadians' votes for granted.
Call me crazy.
You're crazy. No, you're not. Let's continue some more.
And then had the audacity to call critics, experts, and massive industry leaders paranoid.
I agree that it's unprecedented to find the government using its newly found majority not obtained at the polls to speed up or force feed 9.
Exactly. Not obtained at the polls. Let's remember that. Let's remember how corrupt they got their majority.
Bills through the House of Commons. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. And I believe that in the end, it leads one to poor relationships between the parties, and you never know when you're going to need help from across the aisle in many instances. But it also leads to bad legislation, because no legislation that is brought in a hurry is perfect, and to not want to hear what others have to say about this is kind of leading you into a place that you're not going to like.
One is it's playing to a certain stereotype, if you will, of liberals. If the besetting sin of conservatives is a certain chippy defensiveness, the besetting sin of liberals is arrogance. And the smart ones in the liberal camp always know that that's their kryptonite. So it's not good to be playing to that. It's not good for a guy who's kind of the top dog type, as Mark Carney is, to be seen to be too conscious of it. A little bit of personal humility and governmental humility is always becoming in somebody who is, in fact, the top dog. Final point I'll make is just as an addition to this, in terms of the trust issue, and maybe a sleeper on this, is artificial intelligence, AI. The public is really worried, really scared by this. All the polls show it. That paper that the federal government brought out talked a lot about trust, but did very little in terms of concrete proposals to try to allay public fears on this. The overriding message of the thing was full speed ahead, and that could come back to bite them.
Yeah, they would probably point to the privacy legislation as trying to build trust. I'm not saying that it will, but...
But in fact, it doesn't. It makes the Privacy Commission accountable to the government rather than accountable to Parliament.
Yes, and those are all bridges that they will have to cross, I guess, in the fall. Okay.
The Carney...
And if you thought your rights were violated with all of that, well, give this a listen, because not only did they ram through all of that, your democracy died. Let's give this a listen. Frank Caputo, he gave, this wasn't a speech, this was just in committee, and this speaks for itself. I really can't add anything to it. just give it a listen, and you will understand exactly what went on during the last bit of time in Parliament and committee. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Say this. We're all ready for summer, but that doesn't mean that the summer has started. There's still work to be done. There's work to be done this evening, and there's work to be done tomorrow. At the end of the day, Bill C-22 was a contentious piece of legislation. It was contentious from the get-go. Most people here have heard ad nauseum my background as a prosecutor, in which the access to data or the access to evidence was central to whether a conviction followed. I understand that. There is no doubt in my mind that lawful access is something that our house, the chamber upstairs, must address. Not should, but must. The question is how we address it. And I have now seen what is probably the most aggressive programming motion in my time here in Parliament, which is 5 years. For those at home who aren't watching, a programming motion basically tells us how and when we must consider something. So we have to get through amendments without discussion tonight. That's the gist of it. No discussion. On a bill that was probably, over 100 pages. 100 pages, and we have to get through amendments without discussion. Now, say what you want about lawful access. Like me, you may think there is necessity for a lawful access regime, and the question is, how does it look? Or you may say, I don't want any lawful access because it infringes on my civil liberties. Or you may say, I am prepared to trade privacy for lawful access in order to accede to the arguments that have been put forward by some. But at the end of the day, we are here to work. We are here to debate. And there's one thing we will not do in 28 minutes, and that is debate. The motion that was passed in the House tonight precludes debate. It precludes debate on matters of privacy, on matters that may impact the Charter. No, I shouldn't say may, that do impact the Charter, that engage Section 8 of the Charter. And here we are talking about provisions here that we will pass without debate, that a court will someday be considering. Make no mistake. A court will consider the words that we pass on paper here someday. And they will decide the constitutionality of those words. And we are expected to pass those words without debate. To me, that is unconscionable. 11 years, 12 years we've had a Liberal government. We got this motion put on us on Tuesday before we left. Tuesday. Not Monday, not the Friday before, Tuesday. In fact, the Liberal government put forward a wish list of bills they wanted passed. You know what wasn't on there? Bill C-22. So yeah, I'm a bit animated here. The government said they didn't want this bill. And at the literal last minute, Wednesday night, we are talking about amendments that impact each and every Canadian. And make no mistake, on the Conservative side, we all want to put bad people in jail. But this ain't the way to do it. To have amendments rammed down our throats without debate, without discussion, is patently wrong. And yes, we will sit here at the table. Yes, we will oblige with the process. We will adhere to democracy, the motion that was passed. That doesn't mean we like it, and moreover, it doesn't make it right. What is happening here may have been duly passed, but it is wrong. And one day, in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, a court may be reviewing our words, and they may well look at what happened here tonight and talk about the lack of discussion, the lack of consideration when they were reviewing whether amendments put forward that aren't even public yet. We can't even talk about this. By the way, who breached parliamentary privilege with the Toronto Star? Who breached privilege with the Toronto Star? Am I in the twilight zone here?
They don't know.
They don't know. I think my point has been made. We are here. We are here to work. This is not the right way to work. We will do our jobs. But the climate in which we are expected to do our jobs, this is not the climate in which we were expected to do our jobs. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Wow. Wow. That's what people voted for. Actually, that's not what people voted for. What the country voted for was a minority government. Do you see? Do you see what's going on? You're voting your liberties away. Makes no sense to me. There's not much more I can add to that, and normally I end my episodes with jokes. There's no jokes with all this stuff. I just can't. Not today. Not feeling it. Anyways, thank you for spending time with me. Hope you learned something. I always do. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and God bless.